Okay, go ahead.
Hello, this is Ted and Ed's TV show, Ted and Ed Money Connection. Thank you for joining us today. Ed, how are you doing today?
I am, as usual, Ted. I'm doing great, and I'm very, very excited about our show that's we're getting ready to start on. And we have some very good topics to talk about. So we're hoping that our audience is ready to listen to what we have to say, and that they come on and ask questions and talk to us about how they feel about our show.
All righty. Well, as you know, we like to talk about the top three topics that what we like to really get into, and one of them is Walmart. Walmart is taking a different direction, and then another one that we want to discuss is the top 100 most powerful people. And we want to discuss just a few of those people so that our audience can know who's making decisions in our lives. And then we want to talk about something that's dear to me, and that's basically uh, one thing that you might not know is that I read an article the other day, Ed, that stunned me, and I knew to a certain degree that was the case, but I didn't know it was this high. 78% of full-time workers say that they live paycheck to paycheck. 78%. Now that is ridiculous. Paycheck to paycheck. You lose your job, you're done. Now, the other
Well,
topic that we want to talk about is right is, of course, you know, we're still going to be talking about this healthcare thing. So,
yeah.
all right, those are the things that we're going to be talking about today. Kind of stun
I'm
you on that
still
one.
I'm still smiling about that. Three-quarters of the American workers and stuff who are living day to day. And if they lost their job Friday, that the following Friday they couldn't pay their rent, they couldn't pay their house note, they couldn't buy food, they couldn't do
Mhm,
anything because
mhm.
that's how they live, and it is mad that it's
Hey,
it's something that has become a reality and stuff for us. And if what do we do about this? It's just unbelievable that that could happen. Uh, I about 3 years ago, before my daughter passed away, my wife and her, we used to go and work in this food pantry called the Must Ministries, that a couple of churches and stuff in that area they started up, and they have a food pantry going on. And my wife used to come home every day and tell me about the people that she had met there. And we look at people who go into food pantries and stuff as just poor people who don't care nothing about what's going on or whatever. But she told me that at least 80% of the people who walk in there are people who are in a situation just like you just talked about. They lost their job and they couldn't feed their family.
mhm,
They worked
yeah,
all their lives and could not. And once they lost their job, they could not feed their family. And they had to reduce themselves to coming to a food pantry so they can get food handouts that other people had gave so they would be able to feed their family, just putting a meal on the table. And like I said, most of them have worked for 15, 20 years. Some of them people are in their 50s or whatever, and they could not, and they lost their job. They couldn't feed their family. So this is a reality of our society and stuff today, that because we don't, the American worker are not making a decent living wage, they can't put any money aside to save so they can be able to suffice themselves and stuff during that period of time when they are going between jobs or whatever, or just so happen that someone has shut their plant down because of whatever, and they can't find work. So what do we
Yeah.
do?
Well, I mean, if you look at the surroundings, we are creatures of creature comforts. We love comfort, and we love the idea. When you can, you have, people buy cable. That's $150 a month. People want their phones. That's another $100 or more. People want a nice car. All of those. You're living in a really a world of basically fantasy, because you're trying to live like you're middle class and you're making 40, 50,000 and you think you're middle class. You're not really middle class. You're a working poor. 50,000 is not what it used to be. 70,000 is not what it used to be. You know,
Hmm.
I just on our blog, I just wrote an article talking about that, and the bottom line is that your dollar right now is not worth a dollar. It might be worth. I mean, if you go back and in 1913, the dollar really, to be honest with you, it cut back. Your dollar is really not worth a dollar. It's worth probably about 5 cents. You think about
Well, well, I thought about that when you put that article and stuff out. I thought about that. I remember you the first sentence and stuff you had in that article and stuff. You talked about how you got with your wife and everything, and the first thing you did was you all talked about finances and stuff.
it.
With how he kind of with how much I make and how much my wife makes and everything, we gonna be able to live, honey. Don't worry about it. Everything will be fine.
Right, right, right.
But this
And
was in
that was this is in
1973.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And see, $1,600 then was a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money. That was like almost $20,000 that we were making, and we thought, hey, everything is cool.
Hmm.
And come to find out, you know, it ain't the same now. It's not the same, because
Yes.
that amount of money was worth basically almost $50,000. Back then. And now, if you're making 50,000 now, it's not equivalent, because really, if you do the numbers, it's really only worth it's worth maybe $300 or $400 more than $50,000. Your expendable money if you're making $50,000. So it's no uptick because
Yeah.
of you're making $50,000.
Yeah. Well, it's hard, I guess, to gauge and stuff because if you look at today's dollar value and looking 10 years down the road, we can look and say the same thing that okay, our dollar bought whatever you buy today can't buy that same amount of goods or whatever 10 years from now. And that's where it was back in 1973. We looked at that dollar and stuff and saying, oh, okay, but that dollar, if you go back in time and stuff, the dollar buys a lot more. But as each generation goes by, your dollar is buying less and less and less. That's why uh, when we were growing up, I would look, I go to the store and I have 2 pennies and I can buy a lot of candy with 2 pennies.
That's right.
Well, today, the government and the monetary people and stuff are talking about getting rid of the pennies. We don't need pennies anymore because it doesn't buy
Hmm.
anything.
They
So
don't buy anything.
yeah, so the only thing that I do with my pennies and stuff, when I get them, I put them in a jar so I can accumulate a whole lot of them and everything, and then take them to the bank or whatever,
And get you some
and
money.
and exchange them in for a few dollars.
Right, a few dollars.
A few dollars. But anyway, uh, when you're talking about the world's richest people, and I know that you were going to be having it was one of your topics that you were going to be talking about
Hmm.
when you're talking uh, about that economy or world and stuff that now the richest men in the world and stuff are looking at being $100 billion men.
That's
Well,
right.
and now we're looking in stuff into today's world and say, well, I'm a millionaire. Well, $1 million don't really buy anything at all.
Mm-mm.
You can't do a whole lot with $1 million. Now
Decent house, a decent car, and that's it.
that's it, and it's going to be gone
And a
like
few
that.
clothes. And a few
Yeah, and
clothes.
a few clothes, and then it's gone. You it doesn't mean anything at all nowadays. $1 million, I'm a millionaire. Well, and
Right.
and so uh,
Well, let the truth be told, 200 million is nothing
it's
in
nothing.
today's standard
It's nothing.
because here we are, Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon. What is he worth? About 60 billion, maybe 70 billion. I don't know. Warren
Well,
Buffett. You know.
well, about a month ago, he was the world's richest man for
Hmm.
about one day, 24
Hmm.
hours. He was the world's richest man, and
Hmm.
then Buffett and Gates and stuff passed him by
Passed them
again.
up. Passed them up.
For 24 hours, he was the world's richest man, and
Right.
then he wasn't. But these guys are dealing in profits and stuff of $1 billion or more, and
Well, just think
man,
about this though. The average home now, anywhere between 200 to $250,000. That's the average home. That's like compared to when we were coming up as kids. You can buy you a house for $7,000 to $10,000, three,
hmm
4 bedroom.
hmm
But now these people are spending 75, 125, $150 million for a house. This is what
hmm
and they have four or five of them. A lot of them.
hmm
I don't know if you keep up with hip hop, but I keep up with hip hop just a little bit because I think they're interesting. Because a lot of them are doing some good things. And I was looking at Jay-Z and Beyonce. They just bought a house in Bel Air, California. $88 million, and they plopped
hmm
down 30 million as a down payment. They could have
hmm
bought it cash.
hmm
They're probably going to use it as a business expense. you
hmm
know so the thing is what I'm saying is, most people think they're living okay when they get a little house, and a couple of cars. I've been saying this for a long time. Life is more than the car, a house and a two-car garage. you know
hmm
so but these people are really doing some things, man, that's unbelievable. uh, One of the things that I thought, before we move on, is I thought that was real interesting was the number one most powerful person is Putin, Vladimir Putin, not the president of the United States. It's Putin.
I'm I'm still trying to get my handle around that. that I really am. I'm still trying to get my handle around the fact that a man who is head of Russia is able to become the world's most powerful man and everything uh, because he's out there um, being an evil person and stuff out there in our world. And to have him to become the world's most powerful person and stuff and everything is just unbelievable right now.
Unbelievable.
We've always thought that the president of the United States was the most powerful man in the world. He was the leader of the free world. And
Yeah,
to find out that our president right now is no longer going to be out there as far as the world is concerned, is the leader of the free world. He is no longer the leader, and
that's right.
that's oh man, that's really devastating to our country that this has happened. And I guess part of that problem and stuff is our own making, because when you start talking about going to the polls and you're talking about voting and the importance of going out and using that ballot and everything to do something, we tend not to look at the alternatives and stuff of not going out there and doing it. First of all, when we were growing up, we were fighting to be able to vote. And now that we do have the right and everything to vote, we are not exercising that right. And we tend to not realize and stuff the value of that vote. And now that we have gotten another president in office and everything, and he is not showing himself to be a leader of the free world, and Vladimir Putin has has
Take it
zoomed,
over.
has zoomed by him.
It's taking over.
Yeah, speaks loudly and stuff of us as a country.
And,
And
and the economy is his economy is in the tanks. He spent a lot of money on military. They don't even their GDP is barely $3 trillion, and here we are almost 20 trillion.
mhm,
So as far as power, we got more power than any nation
economic power,
in the
economic
world.
power. Yeah.
Economic power. We have also military power as well
Mhm.
than any country in the world. But when it comes to politics and control and really giving people together, it's not happening because I read an article not long ago saying that China and Russia they're partnering up in different things. They're partnering up, you know.
Well, you can't blame them for doing that because they don't like the fact that the United States is one of the world's the biggest economic power out there. So China is leveraging themselves. They're leveraging themselves with Russia. They're leveraging themselves with Japan, and they are trying to leverage themselves into a position where they can become the most powerfulest country and stuff in the world. And that's the way of the world and stuff now. If you can't partner yourself with someone to do become powerful and stuff, then you don't become the most powerful country. And I look back at our president's statement, stuff that he made when he first became the president and everything. He said, yeah, America first. We're going to close our borders. We're going to do this. We can't do that. You can't not negotiate and trade and deal with other countries and stuff and everything just because you are the biggest dog on the block.
Right.
And it being the biggest dog on the block, if you can't speak to your enemies or your friends or your neighbors and everything, you cease to become the biggest dog on the block
That's right.
because most people don't look to you to help them to if there's a trouble coming down the pipe. We're looking at Europe, the European Union, and everything, and how they they are slowly and cautiously looking at us and as to what we are doing and stuff out there in the world, how we are portraying ourselves, and because our president is out there thinking he's the biggest dog we're the biggest dog on the block, and he doesn't care about anybody else. Uh, they're cautiously looking at us, and they're probably eventually, if this thing keeps on going, they're going to take us and everything and weaken us out there in the world. We're not going to become the most powerful country out there who can take care of all the other people because if European Union is saying to themselves, well, heck, we got to start looking after ourselves because we can't depend on the United States to come to our aid. You look at Great Britain and stuff; they were part of the European Union, and now they're going on, and now they're going to be a separate country again. Well, they can't look at the United States and stuff and saying, "Man, if something happens to me, what is our country going to do and everything to protect itself?" So,
Absolutely. That's the whole thing. And then one of the things that is really coming to par is this repatriate. You know, we have over our international corporations have over $2.6 trillion overseas, and we want that money to come back over here. Well, who do you think they've been paying taxes to? Although it be that they're only paying anywhere between 12 and 15% on their taxes, if they bring that money over here now, they would have to pay anywhere between 35 and up, 35%. So that's the reason why one of the things that uh, the administration want to do is they want to lower that down as far as 10%. So you're talking about paying 10% on $2.6 trillion, dollars, which is better than nothing, but that's not a lot of money that you're going to be getting for the American people, especially when over 60, 70% of those products that's being bought is right here in the States. So, but I was looking at some of the top people as far as cash held overseas. Apple has 239 billion. Cisco Systems has 65 billion. Microsoft has 122 billion. Uh, Alphabet has 56 billion. Oracle has 52 billion. And it goes on and on. Names that Amazon and Coca-Cola, and they have billions and billions of dollars overseas that's cash that has not been taxed. And that's where a lot of our money is, as far as, people paying their fair share.
Well, you can look at that in two different ways. Uh, but as long as they leave the money out of this country and overseas, we're not reaping any benefits at all. So, yeah, so 10% of something is worth more than 30% of nothing. so,
Absolutely.
so I think I would rather take 10% of something than I would be 30% of nothing, because the longer they leave that money outside this country, uh, the more likely and stuff is going to stay outside this country, and the more likely they're going to continue to send their profits and stuff outside this country. So when you start talking about the Congress and stuff, and they are talking about changing the tax code and lowering the tax rates and stuff down for these companies or whatever, in actuality and everything, you're lowering the tax rate and stuff for these companies and stuff. But if you don't lower the tax rate for these companies and let them keep their profits and stuff here, then people, banks, and financial institutions and stuff outside this country are going to be the ones and stuff who are going to reap the benefits and stuff of having those dollars and stuff in their
Overseas.
coffer.
And here's the thing, though, is, the one thing that, and I agree, you got to do it. I mean, the one time they did it before was 2004. But now, if you repatriate that money and give a lot of these corporations, to a certain degree, the benefits of the doubt for now. But the thing is, they are investing billions and billions of dollars, infrastructure dollars, into a lot of these countries that they are building factories and roads and everything else over there to initiate, so because they want that cheaper labor. Now that is one of the main reasons why they're over there, because they get cheaper labor. They don't have to worry about a lot of regulations and what have you. So that is one of the main reasons, because they save so much money. They can produce the same product, bring it here overseas, and then at the same time sell it to us at a higher price than what it costs. And that's how they make their profits. Now, one of the things that they're trying to do now is they're basically trying to get these people to come over here and do that. But the point is that they don't want to pay people 25, 30, $50 an hour when they can make that same product for $5 a day.
So what do we do? What do we do?
Well,
Because if I'm a company and I can cut down some of my overhead, that's what I'm going to do. If I can get a cheaper labor and stuff to produce the same product that I can produce and sell in this country, then I'm gonna continue to do that. So how do we incentivize these companies and stuff to keep their money? First of all, to keep their money and stuff here, and also to be have them to leave their manufacturing or their units and stuff here in this country and still be profitable and out there in the world economy. So we have to.
I have the correct
Yeah,
answer. I have the
yeah,
exact
go ahead.
answer.
Go. I'm listening, brother. I'm listening. I'm listening.
I have the
I'm
exact
listening.
answer. And the thing about it, they went about this really, to be quite honest with you, and I hate to be so blunt, but ass backwards. Because number one, they should have opened those businesses in the inner city. A lot of those companies, they could have had manufacturing in the inner cities, and really train people to do these jobs. Because you're trying to tell me that Americans don't have as just as much intelligence and work habits than people overseas. They're just working for less. But the bottom line is that you have to do some. Capitalism is great. You buy a bottle. It costs you 15 cents to make to put some water in a bottle of water, but you can sell it for $1. You understand? And so they make a lot of profit off of that. Well, the same thing, you can't be as greedy, because the standard of living here is a lot different than China. Most of those people are eating a bowl of rice and maybe a piece of fish every day. That's what they eat, and some tea, and they can live off of 50 cents a day. Here, you can't do that because of our lifestyle. So therefore, you can't be paying people $10 an hour, $8 an hour. You got to pay them a decent salary, and the product and your profits might not be as high, but your community standards and your goodwill will be much more higher. Plus, not only that, you are training people and using other innovative ideas, because out of that training, you're going to get some very smart people to make your product, and they're going to come up with greater ideas. You're losing all your ideas and innovation, because that's the problem right now. We're stuck. We're stuck.
But
This country is stuck
as
as far as innovation and
but
imagination.
our economy is, and our CEOs and all these companies and stuff are beholden to one institution, and it's not a political institution. It's a institution that sits there in New York City, and they are the ones and stuff who control exactly what the heck happened as far as our money, as far as anything that happened here,
Absolutely.
and that's Wall Street. And Wall Street has
Absolutely.
said that you have to find a way to maximize your profit.
Profits.
They are concerned with greed. They don't care about training people. They don't care about uh, being okay about doing something. They don't
Absolutely.
care. The care is not when you find the CEO of a company that wants to charge sick people $1,000 for some medicine that they should be able to buy for $5. And the guy looks at him and said, I don't care. If they want it, if they're sick, I don't care. They're going to have to pay it. And finally, someone decided to stand up and everything and prosecute this gentleman. I forget his name and stuff now.
I know exactly who you're talking
He
about.
owned this company and stuff, and he was charging these people 900 and some dollars for a pill and stuff that they could have bought for $5. And in his mind, that greed was there,
Yeah.
and they didn't care about it. They, the Wall Street brokers out there, and the Wall Street financial people and stuff, and the money market people, the fund makers and stuff out there, they don't care about it. All they want is profit, keeping
That's it.
more money in their pocket. So
Absolutely.
my question to you and stuff is, how do we get them to uh, uh, to to decide that greed and stuff is not the end result and stuff of being able to keep this country and stuff powerful? because right now we're looking at a world economy, and they're saying to us, if you're not conforming to what we want you to conform to, then uh, we don't care about you. We don't care about, because we can go and make money over in another country. So what do we do?
Well,
Do we do like do we do like I do when I call up AT&T or Comcast or any of these other people and stuff, and they send me over there to some phone person and stuff over there in the Philippines, and I'm sitting with them asking them and stuff about what's going on here in my country. I got a problem and stuff with my modem, or my Wi-Fi is messed up and everything. The first thing I tell them and stuff is that I want to speak to somebody in the United States of America.
hmm
Now, I may sit on that phone for another half hour waiting to get somebody in the United States of America, but I am determined that AT&T, Comcast, all these other folks and stuff and everything who have taken their their business over there and letting a foreigner take care of this country and stuff, I'm not going to deal with that. And I think that if this country got together and were determined to say, we're not going to buy your products unless you manufacture them here in the United States,
and have
that
your
we
customer
can
service people here.
customer service people here in the United States.
That's right.
And I tell that customer service people, when I finally get to somebody in the United States, and I first thing I ask them is say, "Are you in the United States?" They say yes, and I ask them again. I said, "What state are you in?" Because I've had them in those call centers and stuff just to put some guy over there who's in the Philippines and stuff, and he speaks good English, and they say, "Okay, we're gonna slide him over there because he
hmm
speaks good English and everything, and he's not gonna have that phone call to be brought, them call
But
center call to be brought
you can
back here."
tell the dialect.
Yeah,
You can tell.
you can tell a dialect, but
But
and what I'm
think
trying to
about this
say,
stuff. hmm
I'm trying to
Go ahead.
say now is that we that greed and stuff is hard to overcome. So we have to deal with the Wall Street bottom line dollar. If they can't make, if Apple can't sell their phones over here for $1,000, then they're going to bring their manufacturing stuff right back here. But we're going to have to decide that this is what we want to do if we want to have our country and stuff, our stuff brought back to this country. We have to force these companies to bring their manufacturing stuff back here. And until you force them to do that, they're going to continue to go out there because their bottom line is what goes in their pocket. The more money go in their pocket, the better they feel. And I know that Bill Gates and Jamie Dimon and Warren Buffett and all these other folks and stuff who run around there with $1 billion in their pocket, they are constantly trying to make more money. What is enough money for one man and his family to live on
Absolutely. I
and
totally
live
agree with that.
comfortable?
I totally
Because
agree with that.
it is greed that is driving them to go out there and get more money. And so we have to find out how to make
And
that greed and stuff work for us.
and when you think about it, what you know, if they want to keep their jobs, I'm talking about these CEOs that's making 20, 30 million dollars a year, and they have to realize, number one, they say if they don't continually every quarter make a profit, 3 or 4 pennies extra on their shares, and really believe that they're going up and up and up. That's what they look at. The board members look at that, and these board members, man, you'd be surprised. Now that's a whole nother subject. You know, the kind of people that's on these boards. You know, it's just unbelievable. You know, and these people are constantly making these people. If they don't do the job, that CEO is out. He is out.
Mhm.
And he say, well, what do I have to do? I'm going to lay off 10,000 people. 10,000 people, you know, if you got 250,000 people working for you, 10,000 people is nothing. They're just going to make somebody else do his job. So now they got 2 jobs. That's the way they work. That's the game they play, you know?
Mhm.
So anyway, but getting on to healthcare, Now that's one of your pet peeves too,
Well,
because you
we
know.
don't have a lot of time left on the program because we've been talking a lot about what's going on. So I'm going to quickly go back and again start telling the audience and stuff about healthcare. And one of the things that I really wanted to talk about this segment here was to go back and reiterate and talk about those two extremes and stuff in our society, our children and our senior citizens and stuff who need health care more than those classes and stuff of our society that are in the middle there, your middle class and your other folks and stuff in their 50s and the ones who starting out when they're 26 years old and how they deal with it because most of them have decided that they don't want to have a quality health care. So they go out and they take a chance and stuff and don't get medical coverage. Well, our children and stuff need medical coverage and our senior citizens definitely need medical coverage. So uh, what I wanted to say and stuff is that I think that our country and stuff and our Congress and stuff who are still are debating the Affordable Health Care Act that something has to be done and stuff to make sure that our healthcare industry and stuff is being stabilized. This month, our CHIPS, which is Children Health Insurance Program, is have to be funded and stuff, or it's going to go away, and no children and stuff are going to have health care if they don't start funding this program this month. Well, hopefully, the Congress and stuff will realize that our children are very, very important, and they will go ahead and fund our children's health program. And hopefully,
How many
uh,
children is on chip? Do you know?
you looking at that 70 some 75% that you talking about who are living day to day. All of their children and stuff are on chips because they can't afford any other health care for their children.
Mm,
And there's quite a bit, and
millions, millions.
it's millions of children and stuff who are on chips. I mean, you're looking at quite a few, uh,
You know,
and the only ones.
one of the things that this weekend, I think your boy, I shouldn't call him your boy, but Barry Sanders is going out this weekend talking about healthcare and talking about Medicare for all. How do you feel about that? Medicare for all.
I think that Bernie Sanders, yes, I really like Bernie. He has some very good ideas, but I think he's fighting a huge uphill battle. It's almost like a cliff, and he's trying to go climb that cliff, and it's straight up in the air. Uh, but they said that if you shoot high and you fall a little bit lower, then you should be okay. And I think that that's probably what he is doing. He's making a moonshot, but he's hoping that he can land and stuff on the top of one of these mountains and stuff around in this country and stuff, force people to start thinking about healthcare and that we need to get a handle and stuff on our healthcare system and what's going on. And how he does that, I have no idea, but I think he's very, very serious about it. And there are a lot of people out there who are serious about healthcare uh, that
Absolutely.
that that is needed. But a healthcare for all, I think that he is pipe dreaming about that. That is going to happen. But like I said, he's if we shoot for the moon and then we fall short, then we should be okay. I'm hoping that I'm thinking that he wants us to stabilize those health exchanges and stuff that we have going on out there, that we put healthcare in a position to where politicians and stuff can't use it as a bargaining chip
Absolutely. One of their
to
wedge
keep that thing
issues.
right. Use it as a wedge issue and stuff for it's like Social Security and stuff is out there with the Congress. You don't touch that because it's the third rail.
That's right.
You're gonna get shocked if you mess with Social Security. The older people and stuff, you start talking about bothering their Social Security and taking it, you are putting your career and stuff in jeopardy if you are a politician. So we want to. I guess he wants to try to do that with healthcare, make healthcare a third rail where you're not going to touch it. And the president, Trump, or whoever's the president, or whoever's in Congress, don't want to go over there and touch healthcare because that's what we have to have. And we need to strengthen our healthcare the one that we have right now. It needs to be strengthened a lot better than what it is. It's sitting out there now teetering and stuff on fail and fail, fail and passing, because most of your medical insurance companies and stuff now, they're sitting out there wondering what's going to happen, if this going to happen, if that's going to happen, because it is on very, very, very weak ground and stuff right now. And our president and the Health and Human Services director and stuff and everything, Tom Price, they are trying to whittle away at the bottom of it, that they couldn't pass to repeal and replace portion and stuff of it. So they are whittling away at the little edges and stuff of it and trying to destroy it and stuff by taking away the things that is needed to make it strong. So
Yeah,
we can stop them from doing that, and for them to, and make them realize that we have to have health care and they need to strengthen this thing, and we need to all work together and everything to provide health care to everybody and stuff who's out there, because the people in Congress got good health care programs, excellent healthcare
absolutely.
program. And so why can't, if
And you
they
know,
got
they,
an excellent healthcare program, why can't they make sure that their constituents and stuff have the same healthcare
hey,
program?
hey, hey, they got a 10,000 deductible or some kind of 10,000 advance or whatever that they don't even have to pay for. And you know how you come in and you got to pay money until you
Hmm.
get to a certain level. They
Hmm.
already That's already taken care of for them, so they don't have to worry
Hmm.
about that. But
Yep.
hey,
They
I
have
got a solution, Ed. Let me
right.
give you my 2 minute solution. As a matter of fact, 20 seconds.
1 minute. Okay, go ahead.
Let me tell you what they need to do is do Medicare for those who want Medicare for all. Then they keep also a certain segment of that private. You know, those people that want private insurance, keep your private insurance. But at the same time, those people that want Medicare, let them be on Medicare. You know, so if you got a company that wants to stay private, have private, they own pay for their own insurance, and people pay for their own insurance, that's fine. But people that want to pay into the Medicare system, right now we are paying to Medicare a certain portion
Hmm.
of our salary for those
Hmm.
people that's still working.
Hmm.
So just raise that up a few dollars, and then as long as they tabulate those funds that's coming in, and then those companies that are taking care of those Medicare, make it nonprofit. Those medical centers or what have you, make it nonprofit. And then you have your profit banks, and let those people that want to, they're concerned about getting the best doctors and all that. You know, I'm not concerned about that because most doctors I would say 90% of them are, their main concern is the patient.
Hmm.
You know, of course
Well,
they want to make more than $60,000 or $70,000 a year. You know,
absolutely. Now that was now what you just talked about doing that. That was what our president. That was his idea when he in 2009 when they were enacting the Affordable Care Act. That was one of his reasons and stuff why he kept the private industry and stuff involved into the healthcare system and stuff, along with bringing in the public healthcare system along and trying to hope that they can work themselves together. The same idea you just talked about. Well, uh, over the years and stuff, it hasn't evolved into what the president Barack Obama wanted to happen and stuff when they first enacted that thing. It has not happened that way. It has happened. It has gone to almost a private thing and everything, and it shouldn't have been that way in the first place. It should have been set up to where, like you said, if you wanted to have private insurance, you can have it. If you want to have the public insurance, you are capable of having that. But like I said, it did not happen that way when they enacted the Affordable Care Act. I think that during that time, the politicians and stuff, especially the Democrats, were so afraid of even trying to get this thing off the ground that they did not push this thing far enough and everything to where we would be today. We would be sustainable and everything. We have a healthcare system for everybody. Well, hopefully down the road, if Bernie gets his way and everything, we can get to the healthcare system to where you were talking about, where they will be able to have healthcare for all. If you want a private healthcare program, then you can stay in the private parts of it. If you want the public part of it, then you just go ahead and pay for it, and don't have that maximum that you can pay into that Medicare or whatever. If you want that, then you can take. If you're making over $104,000 a year, then you continue to pay into Medicare and Medicaid and all that.
Social
And really,
Security and all
actually,
of it.
if they increase that bottom line, that 104,000 to that $250,000 level and stuff, where you paying into that your FICA and everything, it would probably stabilize our healthcare and stuff right
Oh,
now, bring a
yeah,
lot more
yeah.
money into
We've been
our
talking about
system.
that for years, and they don't want to do it.
Oh yeah,
And it's
yeah.
ridiculous.
Well, that's because we have some powerful lobbyists out there who say, "Hey, I want to stop paying for that," because a lot of your people out there who are in the business world and everything, by March they've already attained their $104,000 payment and stuff into
Hmm.
Medicare and Medicaid or whatever, and they don't pay it anymore. So they like to have that happen because they figure that they don't have to pay those taxes. But we got some more talk about that down the road, Ted, because
Okay.
I have a whole different analogy and stuff of how to get that stuff done and everything, and how to deal with taxes and all that. So
Okay.
hopefully, in one of our other in our upcoming programs and stuff, we're going to have a deep discussion
Oh
about
yeah.
that.
We'll be talking about this I mean, from shows on and on and on, because healthcare is a vital, vital part of our
Absolutely.
lifestyle and everything. So, but with that, I think we done just about ran out of time. Any last thoughts?
Yep. None, Ted. I'm very happy to have this going on, and I'm looking forward to next week's program. So, to all of you out there in our audience, welcome to Ted and Ed podcast, a weekly broadcast that we have on Saturday morning. And hopefully, you guys will come back and visit us and stuff next Saturday.
Thank you. I appreciate it. See you next week, Ed.
See you. Bye.